The kids are not all right. Latest results from the National Assessment of Education Progress, or NAEP, has shown that the National's report card, it's what they call it, 12th graders are struggling more than ever. Math scores are at their lowest since 2005, and reading has hit a low level that's not been seen since 1992. About 45% of seniors scored below basic in math. 32% did so in reading as well. Only about 1/3 are ready for college level math per this here. This is something I see at my job at a college where a majority of students end up taking remedial math to get caught up because they're not quite ready. The long slide decline has a lot of reasons. It started with COVID-19, but the pandemic just deepened the drop. Educators say the remote learning and chronic absenteeism only exacerbated the long failing trends that we already had. Younger students, especially in science, now show reductions in what they're learning, with 8th graders' performance achievement gaps widening as well. The tops and bottoms are well within, or not well within, acceptable level of what is going on now. The lowest performing students are suffering the most. Achievement gaps are large. That means kids who are already lagging are even further behind than they were before. Girls in STEM particularly subjects are having some issues, and they're experiencing sharper declines in post-pandemic life. Now, these are things that were celebrated before the pandemic, getting more people involved, engaged, and get things growing. But right now, we're seeing from the report card, and most of the blame is going to an exacerbation of things that happened during COVID and not quite getting out of it properly on the drops. The factors that fuel the crosses are, like I said, many. Screen time, one of them. Less reading full books in classrooms now, and fewer hands-on lessons also put a downturn into what's going on. It's also a inquiry-based learning that's not really being implemented. Basically, questioning things, having people be curious about things. And these aren't pandemic effects. These are things that are already happening or were going to happen regardless because they were growing with the culture. The pandemic, not having children around to be socialized, and that word's being used on purpose, for a greater sense of learning and connectivity is part of it. But it's not a vacuum. It's not a major factor. Well, it's a major factor, but it's not the factor that basically made things worse. These things were happening in general anyway. It's another factor. They reflect the change in educational habits over years and how things are going forward. Now, let's talk about Education Secretary Linda McMahon, who is stressing that despite high federal spending, the achievement gaps keep growing. So she is shifting more control to the states, which is the point of the administration. Because on the national level, things aren't getting done, maybe the states really know what they have to do and take care of it. That's an argument that should be being made. It's not exactly the argument that's being made, though. Educators argue that it needs to be sustained hours of focus from teaching fundamentals and closing gaps from the ground up. And from the national standpoint, supporting as many small municipalities and small states and things and to bring it up is better than just say, oh, here's some cash, deal with it. Because a grouping, a Avengers of education, will coming together to figure out good things and share those ideas with the world should be a better route than just saying, oh, here's more cash. Oh, actually, here's less cash. Oh, yeah, here's a little less cash and more regulation for you to deal with it. Data doesn't lie, or as we say here, or does it? We have data that's showing how the decline in education is happening for our seniors and our students as in proper. But it's showing that there's an issue that needs to be dealt with. Or you can see it as a reason to do other things because it's just we're not functioning. So you have to basically take that into account. The emphasis on local control is actually a good idea, tailoring interventions and community needs at that level. But local control without the funding and the access to make it work is useless. There should be some national control to make things standard. Now, here's something that's really kind of interesting. You don't have a way to test people on a standard unless you have standardized tests. And yes, testing to the test is not a great idea. Learning on your own and grabbing to it is what you should be doing. But if the national level, if the standard that Linda McMahon is trying to get rid of her job as the head of education for the nation can actually exist, how do we get our kids back at a national level to be better as opposed to other levels? It's all arbitrary. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just sort of a ranking that you have to pull together. But how do you do it if there's no national organization to take it nationally and no standardized test that are standard to keep a standard.